How's it going, everybody in the crypto community, DLT community, XRP community, BTC community, Ethereum community, Link community, Poe community, Celsius out there? What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Guys, we got a very special live stream for you guys today. Got some really good info to show to you. This will be today, guys. I do like to explore all the cryptos. We are going to look at these charts, see who's up. But today's video is going to be very heavily concentrated on Ripple and XRP, just to give you guys a warning, okay? What's up, reality over the internet? Reality over internet? What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Glad to catch early. Yeah, been doing late night live streams recently, but you know, trying to get back into the groove of doing some daily crypto news live streams, and also, of course, you know, still working on these other educational entertainment videos that I'm putting together. What's up, Calculon? How you doing? Welcome to the channel, my man. By the way, Calculon, you've been around long enough, my man. Here's a little blue wrench for you. Gonna give it about a minute or so. Let's take a look at these charts. Just want to give you a heads up once again, this will be a very heavily Ripple and XRP centric video. We are going to be going over the United States Department of Justice in May 5th, 2015, you guys, releasing their agreement with Ripple Labs, their settlement agreement with Ripple Labs. We will take a look at this overview, and then we're going to actually take a look at this document, you guys, and I'm probably going to be reading this document verbatim. I might skip over a paragraph or two, but that's why I want to just give you guys the heads up. This is going to be a pretty long video as well, maybe going over an hour. So just looking forward to that, you guys. But I appreciate the DLT community, crypto community members coming in, saying what's up. If you're a BTC maxi, ETH maxi, Link maxi, any type of maxi, you're welcome on this channel. I just want to give you guys, you know, the respect and let you guys know this will be a Ripple and XRP centric video today. Let's check this out. Smash the likes and hit the notification button and subscribe. The myth, movie, film legend in the making. Appreciate you, Calculon. You're the man. And thank you, Edward, for the support. Thank you guys for coming in. Thanks for the 7 likes, you guys. All right. So let's take a look at the charts while people are still coming in. Let's take a look at these charts. What is up today? Poe is up today, you guys, with a 13.18% gain in the past 24 hours. Link coming in second. I think that ontology news was a pretty big deal for Link. And guys, just to tell you the truth, super bullish on Link. I bought a bag the other day. They're getting integrated into a lot of these ERC20 token technologies. Link is providing a use case and is, you know, the top decentralized oracles platform out there in the blockchain space, and they're making big time moves. Really bullish on Link. Good to see Link going to 485. You know, hopefully maybe by the end of this month, you guys, we might see a $5 Link. It is almost, we're getting closer and closer to when Link started to really move up to a year from now, or from a year ago, when Link was just under $1, started shooting up, and now we're at 485 for Link. It is continuing its bullish momentum. It's been having really good healthy retraces. Good to see Link up here in the top 3. We got Eden Chain showing up 13.09%, catching up to Poet. We'll see by the end of the stream who's at the top. But as you guys know, it's good to see a nice consecutive green day for the crypto space, or what it seems like, at least for the majority of the cryptos that I'm interested in. Good to see them in the green. Let's see what's up in the chat, and then we are going to get into, guys, the Department of Justice, this 2015 PDF and article release. How's it going, XRP Bags? What's up, XRP Bags? I got to see just a little bit of your newest video, my man, but then you know, I think it was the one about earning interest and staking with your XRP, with your cryptocurrencies. I love how you've listed out like a lot of great a lot of great alternatives for staking your XRP or digital currencies. I like seeing Celsius Network in that video, my man. Shout out to XRP Bags. He is killing it with the material, and really big up-and-comer XRP YouTuber. Go show him some love. He's just gotten over 700 subscribers. Let's get him to that 1K. Let's get XRP Bags to 1K. YouTube needs to get on board with Theta. The buffering sucks. I agree, my man. No doubt, Denarian. If we can... I think that's in the works, you know, because we do know that the co-founder of YouTube is working with Theta. So you know that there's something in the works. Maybe Theta needs to just do its own thing for a little bit, show a little bit more maturity, show the increasage of use, and then we're going to probably hear that little, you know, mainstream crossover to YouTube, correct? I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time where even in your super chats, like you probably guys have that option here below, eventually maybe your super chat won't be only in dollars on YouTube. You'll be able to send XRP. You'll be able to send BTC. Who knows what the future of the internet of value really is, you guys, but we are so lucky to be in this space, and let's not lose sight of that. Whether the price continues to go down or prices continue to go up, whichever direction it is, we do know that we are witnessing step for step the progression of mass adoption of digital assets, of this digital asset space. And, you know, just like a little shout out to Crypto Siege, I am participating, my man. I am participating. Alrighty, guys. So much love to everybody joining into the chat. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves, you guys. I am going to be going over this Ripple Inc.'s Resolves Criminal Investigation article from the Department of Justice, and then we will be going into their PDF on the settlement agreement. Now, I know a lot of people who have come into this space either this year or in the past couple of years after 2017. You know, we get so much XRP news, we get so much Ripple news on the daily that we start kind of losing track. And sometimes it's really, really big news. You know, like we talked about the other day, Project Ion being released from the DTCC. And that was just like a recent old news article that had come out. But, you know, it's good to refresh your memory because you get so much news that you kind of lose track and kind of forget because you're kind of remembering the most recent news and just kind of taking into consideration, yeah, Ripple's just been building and building and building and building for this XRP ecosystem. So then I started taking a dive back, and you know, we always hear, when is the SEC going to declare XRP not a security or give complete, you know, finally give some regulatory clarity out there. And I started looking into, there was this recent article that came out about the SEC and DOJ inking to pledge to boost cooperation on antitrust work. So then I read through this article, and you know, here I can share this link in the chat if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. I don't want to read through this too much, but I highly recommend reading it for yourselves. Yep, plus YouTube is owned by Google, and Google just joined the Theta network. I like that, the Denarian. Thanks for that heads up. And yeah, I mean, Theta network, without a doubt, has a very positive future. Without a doubt, my man. So, going back here, so with the SEC and DOJ's Antitrust Division executed a memorandum of understanding to foster cooperation and communication. So then you see SEC Chairman Jay Clayton was involved in the agreement being announced, and I started thinking, okay, everybody always looks at XRP and it's like the SEC, and what is the SEC going to do? What's going to happen? And guys, we do know as well that there are either Ripple advisors or employees that have had history in being in the Securities and Exchange Commission. So then I wanted to look over at the Department of Justice and the Antitrust Division. And I even remember this article coming out or being talked about by some other XRP YouTuber way back in the day, but we kind of have lost sight of this. So I'm kind of, if you know, I know there's some XRP OGs who are part of this chat, and I know you guys are very familiar with this this news of what the Department of Justice wrote about Ripple Labs, but this is more for the newcomers into this space, just to educate them on Ripple Labs' history with regulators, and especially with FinCEN and the Department of Justice. Thanks for the 13 likes, you guys, and thanks for the 30 viewers. Good to have 30 viewers here on this stream. Alright, so let's continue going in. So, on May 5th, 2015, Ripple Labs, the Department of Justice releases this, Ripple Labs Inc. resolves criminal investigation. And now guys, let's not looking, this to me is not a FUD article. If anything, it is very, very bullish for XRP and for Ripple. And of course, it's just whole viewpoint in terms of regulations on whether XRP is a security or not a security. I think this will give you tremendous confidence that XRP is not a security, especially after these links that I'm going to be showing you coming up. Let me know if the music is a little too loud, or let me know if I'm a little bit too low on the volume. If the music's good, just give me a thumbs up, and let's look into this, you guys. So Ripple Labs Inc. resolves criminal investigation. Ripple Labs Inc. and its wholly owned subsidiary XRP2 LLC, formerly known as XRP Fund 2 LLC, have agreed to resolve a criminal investigation in exchange for a settlement agreement, which we have the link to, calling for a series of substantial remedial measures, including a migration of a portion of Ripple's virtual currency business to a separate entity, the company's ongoing cooperation and other investigation, an extensive remedial framework to ensure future compliance with federal laws, and forfeiture and penalties totaling $700,000, announced U.S. Attorney Melinda Haag of the Northern District of California, Director Jennifer Shasky Calvary of the U.S. Treasury Department, Financial Crimes Enforcement, FinCEN, and Chief Richard Weber of the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, Criminal Investigation Division. The agreement will resolve allegations that Ripple, its subsidiary, failed to follow the law while engaging in the exchange of virtual currency, and that the entities failed to establish and maintain an appropriate anti-money laundering program. And you know, guys, so before we get into this, I want to just give you a little subtext of what I'm thinking about this $700,000 fine that was given to them. Guys, we talked about last night in the late night stream that at one point, Ripple Labs was probably holding $100+ billion worth of XRP tokens during that 2017 bull run. And this fine happened in 2015. So Ripple Labs, $700,000 in my way of looking at this, and where Ripple especially is at today, $700,000 is a slap on the wrist. And what this agreement basically is about Ripple just was able to do this selling of XRP and their cryptocurrency, which I totally think was to institutional investors. I think what they were doing that was considered illegal was actually selling their XRP to institutional investors. And in around 2015, Greg Kidd joined Ripple and was telling Chris Larsen, yeah, let's get on the forefront of regulatory and I think it was either 2014 or 2015 that Greg Kidd joined as the chief risk officer, and then was telling telling Chris Larsen that they need to make sure Ripple is regulatory compliant. So I think this was one of those big steps into making sure Ripple is regulatory compliant. So that's just some subtext I want to give you guys while I'm reading through this article. So Ripple Labs Inc. is headquartered in San Francisco, California, and developed and sold virtual currency known as XRP. As of 2015, the currency of the Ripple network, XRP, is the second largest digital currency by market capitalization. The agreement formalizes the steps Ripple and its subsidiary must take to bring its virtual currency operation within the existing regulatory framework for money services businesses. So you see, guys, it's just like a slap on the wrist of Ripple, and then now, or at this point, them operating within the existing regulatory framework. $700,000 is nothing of a fine to Ripple, especially after they've gotten almost over $100 billion worth of XRP in that 2017 bull run 2 years later after this came out. Let's continue on. The agreement consists of a settlement agreement, an agreed statement of facts, and a remedial framework for the company going forward. Aside from monetary penalties in the form of forfeiture, the remedial framework requires the migration of any component of Ripple's business that it is engaged in the exchange of virtual currency into an entity registered. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Okay. Aside from monetary penalties in the form of forfeiture, the remedial framework requires the migration of any component of Ripple's business that is engaged in the exchange of virtual currency into an entity registered with FinCEN. In addition, the agreement calls for continued enhancements to the company's anti-money laundering, AML controls, and training program. Further, the remedial framework calls for external audits through the year 2020, you guys. So they're still going through this right now. So that's why I've been super bullish in terms of 2021 and beyond. Further, the remedial framework calls for external audits through the year 2020, enhancements to the Ripple protocol, increased transaction monitoring, and an extensive review of historical activity. By these agreements, we demonstrate again that we will remain vigilant to ensure the security and prevent the misuse of the financial markets. Ripple Labs and its wholly owned subsidiary both have acknowledged that digital currency providers have an obligation not only to refrain from illegal activity, but also to ensure they are not profiting by creating products that allow would-be criminals to avoid detection. We hope that this sets an industry standard in the important new space of digital currency. The agreement is the accumulation of a criminal investigation conducted by the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division. FinCEN joined the investigation with a parallel civil enforcement action. In that action, Ripple Labs and XRP have agreed to pay $700,000 civil penalty, $450,000 of which will be designated a forfeiture to settle issues raised in the U.S. Attorney's investigation. Virtual currency exchangers must bring products to the market that comply with our anti-money laundering laws. Innovation is laudable, but only as long as it does not unreasonably expose our financial system to tech-smart criminals eager to abuse the latest and most complex products. Federal laws that regulate the reporting of financial institutions are in place to detect and stop illegal activities, including those in the virtual currency arena. Unregulated virtual currency opens the door for criminals to anonymously conduct illegal activities online, eroding our financial systems and creating a Wild West environment where following the law is a choice rather than a requirement. Ripple described itself as an exchanger of virtual currency in a December 2013 filing made in San Francisco, California federal court in an unrelated case. As an exchanger, Ripple was required to register with FinCEN and to comply with applicable federal laws and regulations. Yet, Ripple sold XRP even though it had not registered with FinCEN, effectuating sales of over approximately $1.3 million. And imagine what the cost of per XRP was back in that day. The $1.3 million probably equaled billions of XRP. Ripple also failed to establish and maintain an appropriate AML program and failed to have policies, procedures, and internet controls to ensure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act and anti-money laundering laws. In July 2013, Ripple incorporated a subsidiary known as XRP2 that replaced Ripple as the seller of XRP. Although XRP2 registered with FinCEN, it failed to have an effective AML program or to file appropriate suspicious activity reports. In late 2013, for example, it negotiated a $250,000 transaction with an individual who had prior felony convictions for dealing in explosive devices and had been sentenced to prison, failing to follow its own internal Know Your Customer requirements. Assistant Attorney Catherine and Arvin handled the matter on behalf of the U.S. Attorney's Office with the assistance of Daniel Charlier. The settlement agreement with Ripple Labs was the result of a coordinated effort by the U.S. Attorney's Office and IRS criminal investigation working in tandem with FinCEN. So that's the brief overview of this document that we are about to look over, you guys. Let's take a little bit of a breath. Let's have a sip of water. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Connie, what's up? Richter, how's it going, my man? Denarian, I can't agree anymore, my man. So many coincidences surrounding Ripple and the government, too many to ignore. Thanks for the 20 likes, you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. Really good stuff. Why would they pay that much money if they are in the right? What do you mean, Connie? Why would they pay $700,000 if they are in the right? Because to me, personally, $700,000 is pennies, right? For just a slap on the wrist. They basically said, hey, we just, work with us a little bit more in the future. Be more transparent with us. Here's a little slap on the wrist. Give us $700,000. We know you're going to be worth billions in 2 years. You're going to be a $10 billion valuation company by the year 2020. And, as I've mentioned in my live stream last night, Ripple was at one point holding about over $100 billion worth of XRP. It's pretty crazy, you guys. You don't think they're using that money to just further accelerate the adoption of XRP and to further accelerate the growth of the XRP ecosystem? Alrighty. But it's great to also know, you guys, keep this in mind too, since this happened in 2015, it's great to know that they've already jumped over this hurdle where I think a lot of other crypto companies that are out there, or blockchain companies that are out there, are going to be actually getting hit hard by FinCEN and, U.S. Department of Justice as well. So, they haven't even gone through that hurdle yet. And they still have a longer ways to go in terms of complying with regulations than Ripple and XRP does, right? Alrighty, so let's continue on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for the 21 likes, you guys. Alright, U.S. Department of Justice Settlement Agreement. On the understanding specified below, the United States Attorney Office in the Northern District of California, the government, will not criminally prosecute Ripple Labs, a Delaware corporation headquartered in San Francisco, California, and any and all subsidiaries of Ripple Labs, collectively Ripple Labs or the company, for any of the conduct described in the statement of facts attached as Attachment A. The government enters into the settlement agreement based on the individual facts and circumstances presented by this case and the company. Among the factors considered were the following: the company's extensive cooperation with the government. The company has committed to continue to enhance its pre-existing AML program and training and internal controls as set forth in Attachment B. The company has agreed to migrate a component of its business as set forth in Attachment B, and the company has agreed to continue to cooperate with the government in any known ongoing investigation of the conduct of the company and its officers, directors, employees, agents, and consultants relating to violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. So, let's just read that last line again because, guys, this was released in 2015, and so Ripple's been doing a lot since then, and we haven't heard the Department of Justice or any fines really being slapped down on Ripple for doing what they're doing, right? It really seems like they are, cooperating with the government in any known ongoing investigation of the conduct of the company and its officers, directors, employees, agents, and consultants relating to the violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. The company enters into this agreement under authority granted by the Board of Directors in the form of a board resolution, a copy of which is attached at Attachment C. So, the company admits, accepts, and acknowledges that it is responsible under United States law for the acts of its officers, directors, and employees and agents as set forth in the statement facts attached hereto as Attachment A. The company expressly agrees that it shall not, through present or future attorneys, officers, directors, employees, agents, or any other person authorized to speak for the company, make any public statement in litigation or otherwise contradicting the acceptance of responsibility by the company set forth above. The company's obligations under this agreement shall have a term of 3 years from the date that this agreement is executed. However, the company shall continue to cooperate fully with the government in any and all matters relating to the Bank Secrecy Act violations. Tell me another blockchain company that's out there that, first off, has gotten the attention of the Department of Justice in the US and has filed an agreement to cooperate fully with the government in any and all matters relating to the Bank Secrecy Act, subject to applicable law and regulations until the date upon which all investigations and prosecutions arising out of the conduct described in this agreement are concluded. Whether or not those investigations are concluded within the terms specified herein, the company agrees that its cooperation pursuant to this paragraph shall include, but is not limited to, the following. The company shall truthfully disclose consistent and applicable law and regulations, including data protection and privacy laws, all information not protected by a valid claim of privilege or work product with respect to its activities, those of its parent company and affiliates, and those of the present and former directors. So let's continue moving on down the line here. Upon request of the government with respect to any issue relevant to its investigation of violations of the Bank Secrecy Act in connection with the operations of the company or any of its present or former subsidiaries or affiliates, the company represents it has implemented and will continue to implement a compliance program as described in Attachment B, designed to prevent and detect violations of the Bank Secrecy Act throughout its operations, including those of its affiliates, agents, and joint ventures. The company agrees to pay forfeiture in the amount of $450,000 in the form of a cashier check payable to the United States Treasury Department within 30 business days of signing this settlement agreement by sending the cashier check to the United States Attorney Office. The company acknowledges that no United States tax reduction may be sought in connection with the payment of any part of this $450,000 forfeiture. The government agrees, except as provided herein, that it will not bring any criminal or civil case against the company. So the government agrees, except as provided herein, that it will not bring any criminal or civil case against Ripple relating to any of the conduct described in the statement of facts attached to Attachment A. The government, however, may use any information related to the conduct described in the attachment statement of facts against the company in a prosecution for perjury, all this other subtext here, If during the term of this agreement the government determines in its sole discretion that the company has breached the agreement by committing a felony under U.S. federal law subsequent to signing of this agreement at any time providing in connection with this agreement deliberately false, incomplete, or misleading information, failing to cooperate as set forth in the agreement. In the event that the government determines the company has breached this agreement, the government agrees to provide the company with written notice of such breach prior to instituting a prosecution resulting from such breach. Haven't seen one yet. In the event that the government determines that the company has breached this agreement, all statements made by or on behalf of the company to the government or to the court, including the attached statement of facts and any testimony given to the company before a grand jury. The company shall not assert any claim under the United States Constitution, rule of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. The agreement is binding on the company and the government, but specifically does not bind. So a lot of, contractual subtext in this first part, right? So then you have you have the signatures of the Assistant United States Attorney, both of them, and then you also have Norman Reed, General Counsel for Ripple Labs. And I'm sure a lot of us, or people don't know who Norman Reed is. And if you do and you're in the XRP community, let's just refresh your memory a little bit. So meet Norman Reed, General Counsel at Ripple Labs, bringing a wealth of experience from the New York Fed to the SEC, to the Securities and Exchange Commission, you guys. So everybody's caught up in what is the Securities and Exchange Commission going to say about Ripple, about what they're doing with XRP. I think through seeing the settlement agreement with the Department of Justice here, you're seeing that XRP is being considered as a virtual currency, and so far, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a security or a currency has ever been considered a security, especially one that the Department of Justice considers to be a currency. So here is Norman Reed, General Counsel at Ripple Labs. I graduated law school in 1990. After school, I worked for a large international law firm. Met Karen Gifford there, working for the SEC at the Office of the Chief Counsel in the Division of Trading and Markets. I was at the Fed in the wake of a banking crisis in the early 1990s. We eventually parted ways. Karen went on to Promontory while I ended up at the SEC. So your general counsel leader, Norman Reed, involved with the SEC. It's not a lie that Ripple has employees or people who are advising them that have major connections to the US regulatory system. And I'm sure that's how it is as well with their other offices that they have across the globe. Thanks for the 29 likes, you guys. Thanks for the 24 viewers in the stream. James Rule XRP, what is up? Can you please turn the music off? Okay, Vincent Healy, I will turn it off for you, my man. Just trying to keep it going. But I hear you. It's probably a little bit too loud, my man. I hear you. Okay. So, back to Norman Reed, right? Okay. So final thoughts. Everyone knows there's a tremendous opportunity here. We have a great technology. Not only that, it's a good time in history in the sense that we are at the part of the tech cycle where the old stuff is just getting too old to work anymore. It just doesn't make sense to keep it around for another 20 years. So there are lots of opportunities. There will be a small group of companies that are going to be very successful at offering new solutions. Ripple, in my opinion, is an odds-on favorite to be one of the big winners in this tech cycle. And this article on Norman Reed was released in 2015. So let's continue back. Let's work our way back. Let's continue going down here. So, attachment A. Ripple Labs is a corporation registered in Delaware and headquarters in San Francisco. NewCoin Inc. and OpenCoin Inc. are the predecessors of Ripple Labs. Ripple Labs facilitated transfers of virtual currency and provided virtual currency exchange transaction services. The currency of the Ripple network, known as XRP, so even back in the day, in 2015, these regulators knew the difference between Ripple and XRP. The currency of the Ripple network, known as XRP, was pre-mined. In other words, unlike some other virtual currencies, XRP was fully generated prior to its distribution. As of 2015, XRP is the second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization after Bitcoin. XRP Fund 2 LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Ripple Labs, was incorporated in South Carolina July 1st, 2013. On July 2nd, 2014, XRP Fund 2 changed its name to XRP2 LLC. During a portion of the relevant time frame, the entity was named XRP Fund 2 LLC, but it will be referred to as XRP2 throughout this document. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of California is a component of the Justice Department. FinCEN is a bureau within the Department of Treasury. The Bank Secrecy Act and its implementing regulations require money service businesses, MSBs, to register with FinCEN by filing a registration of money service businesses, RMSB, and renewing the registration every 2 years. Operation of an MSB without the appropriate registration also violates federal criminal law. This is a requirement separate and apart from state licensing requirement, if any, that may be required by law. So FinCEN released a guidance in 2013 clarifying the applicability of regulations implementing the Bank Secrecy Act and the requirement for certain participants in the virtual currency arena to register as MSBs under federal law. So among other things, the guidance defines 2 categories of participants in the virtual currency ecosystem: exchangers and administrators. The guidance states that exchangers and administrators of virtual currencies are money transmitters, a type of MSB under FinCEN's regulations, therefore are required with FinCEN as money service businesses. Okay, let's Both exchangers and administrators are MSBs that must register with FinCEN. Got it. The Bank Secrecy Act and its implementing regulations require MSBs to develop, implement, and maintain an effective written AML program that is reasonably designed to prevent the MSB from being used to facilitate money laundering and the financing of terrorist activities. Under the Bank Secrecy Act, an MSB is required to implement an AML program. At minimum, incorporates policies, procedures, and internal controls reasonably designed to assure ongoing compliance, designates an individual responsible for assuring day-to-day compliance with the program from the Bank Secrecy Act requirements, provides training for appropriate personnel, provides for independent review to monitor and maintain an adequate program. Further, an MSB must report transactions that the MSB knows, suspects, or has reason to suspect. As part of their risk assessment and risk mitigation plans, MSBs are required to implement Know Your Customer procedures. Financial institutions, including MSBs, are also subject to funds transfer rule. Similarly, financial institutions, including MSBs, are subject to the funds travel rule, which we have been seeing implemented as well from the FATF, which we'll get to a little later. The FinCEN registration requirement and other requirements of the Bank Secrecy Act are independent obligations. So Ripple Labs' operation as a money service businesses in March to April 2013. Ripple Labs has previously described itself in federal court. So here are the violations. Ripple Labs has previously described itself in federal court. What's up, XRPDT? How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Ripple Labs has previously described itself in federal court filings and in a sworn affidavit, never read that word before, as a currency exchange service providing online real-time currency trading and cash management. Ripple facilitates the transfers of electronic cash equivalents and provides virtual currency exchange transaction services for transferable electronic cash equivalent units having a specified cash value. From at least March 6, 2013 through April 29, 2013, Ripple Labs sold convertible virtual currency known as XRP. Ripple Labs was not registered with FinCEN as an MSB while engaging in these sales. As described in paragraphs 6 and 7, FinCEN released guidance about it. Notwithstanding the guidance, and after the guidance was issued, Ripple Labs continued to engage in transactions where it sold Ripple currency XRP for fiat currency, even though it was not registered with FinCEN as an MSB. Throughout the month, a currency declared by a government to be legal tender. Throughout the month of April 2013, Ripple Labs effectuated multiple sales of XRP currency totaling over approximately 1.3 million US dollars. During the time frame that it was engaged in these sales and operated as a money transmitter, Ripple Labs failed to establish and maintain an appropriate anti-money laundering program. Ripple failed to have adequate policies, procedures, and internal controls to ensure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act. Moreover, Ripple Labs failed to designate a compliance officer to assure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act, had no anti-money laundering training in place, and failed to have an independent review of its practices and procedures. XRP2's program and reporting violations. We'll get to that in just a second. I love it, DT. Made some homemade jam from my own cherry tree. Alright, so XRP2s. Thanks for the 30 likes, by the way, guys, and the 25 viewers. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the support, as always. Much love to the XRP community and all the communities out there. XRP2's program and reporting violations. On July 1st, 2013, Ripple Labs incorporated a subsidiary, XRP Fund 2, LLC, now known as XRP2 LLC in South Carolina. XRP2 was created to engage in the sale and transfer of the convertible virtual currency XRP to various third parties on the wholesale basis. XRP2 sold XRP currency in exchange for fiat currency in much the same way that Ripple Labs had previously done from March through April 2013. In other words, XRP2 replaced Ripple Labs as a seller of XRP. By on or about August 4, 2013, XRP2 was engaged in the sale of XRP currency to third-party entities. On September 4, 2013, XRP2 registered with FinCEN as an MSB. So after these sales, and the reason for these violations and for that slap on the wrist of $700,000, after those sales, it finally decided to register as an MSB with FinCEN. Well, XRP2 did. As of the date, XRP2 engaged in sales of virtual currency to third parties in exchange for value. XRP2 became subject to certain requirements under the Bank Secrecy Act and its implementing regulations as described in paragraphs 5 through 15 above. XRP2 was required to have an effective written AML program to implement that program and to have an anti-money laundering compliance officer. Notwithstanding these requirements, despite engaging in numerous sales of virtual currency to third parties, XRP2 failed to have an effective written AML program. For example, it was not until September 26, 2013 that XRP2 developed a written AML program. Prior to that time, XRP2 had no written AML program. It was not until late 2014 that XRP2 hired an AML compliance officer some 6 months after it began to engage in sales of virtual currency to third parties. XRP2 had inadequate internal controls reasonably designed to ensure compliance with the Bank Secrecy Act. XRP2 failed to conduct an AML risk assessment until March 2014. XRP2 did not conduct training in its AML program until nearly a year after beginning to engage in sales of virtual currency, by which time Ripple Labs was aware of a federal criminal investigation, and XRP2 did not conduct an independent review of its AML program until nearly a year after it began to engage in the sales of virtual currency, by which time Ripple Labs was aware of federal criminal investigation. From the date XRP2 began engaging in sales of virtual currency to third parties, XRP2 was required to report transactions that it knew, suspected, or had reason to suspect were suspicious and where the transactions or attempted transactions involved or aggregated to at least $2,000 in funds or other assets. In addition to XRP2's lack of an effective AML program, XRP2 also engaged in a series of transactions for which it either failed to file or untimely file suspicious activity reports. On September 30th, 2013, XRP2 negotiated an approximately $250,000 transaction by email. Funny that, sending value like you send an email, right? So $250,000 transaction by email for a sale of XRP virtual currency with a third-party individual. XRP2 provided that individual with a know your customer form asked that it be returned along with the appropriate identification in order to move forward with the transaction. The individual replied that another source would provide the XRP virtual currency and did not require anywhere near as much paperwork and essentially threatened to go elsewhere. Within hours, XRP2 agreed by email to dispense with its KYC requirement and move forward with the transaction. Open source information indicates that this individual, an investor in Ripple Labs, has a prior 3-count federal felony conviction for dealing in, mailing, and storing explosive devices and had been sentenced to provision. See United States versus Roger Ver. In November 2013, XRP2 rejected an approximately $32,000 transaction because it doubted the legitimacy of the overseas customer's source of funds. In January 2014, a Malaysian-based customer sought to purchase XRP from XRP2, indicating that he wanted to use a personal bank account for a business purpose. Because of this concerns, XRP2 declined the transaction but again failed to file a suspicious activity report for the transaction. Monetary penalties. Ripple Labs Inc. and XRP2, formerly known as XRP Fund, agreed to forfeit $450,000 to the Office of the United States Attorney for the Northern District of California. Ripple Labs and XRP2 further agreed to pay a civil money penalty to FinCEN in the amount of $700,000 within 30 days of the date of this agreement. Payment of the forfeiture to the U.S. Attorney's Office shall be deemed credible toward FinCEN's civil money penalty. Migration of Ripple Trade, Ripple Wallet to registered MSB. Within 30 days of the date of this agreement, Ripple Labs and XRP2 will move its service known as Ripple Trade, formerly known as Ripple Wallet, which allows end users to interact with the Ripple protocol to view and manage their XRP and fiat currency balances, and any such functional equivalent to money services businesses that is registered with FinCEN, the Ripple Trade MSB. Any sale or transmission of XRP by Ripple Labs or any of its subsidiaries shall be conducted only through an entity registered with FinCEN. Users of Ripple Trade, which will include all users registering after the date of this agreement and any existing users at the request of Ripple Labs, will be required to submit customer identification information as required under the rules governing money service businesses to the Ripple Trade MSB. Ripple Labs via the Ripple Trade MSB will offer incentives, including not limited to XRP giveaways for existing Ripple Trade users to a transfer wallet with customer identification information or account, that is, a wallet or account with customer identification information. And after 180 days of this date, of this agreement, Ripple Labs will eventually, or will prevent, any existing Ripple Trade user who has not transferred to a wallet or account with customer identification for accessing the Ripple protocol through the Ripple Trade client, not otherwise provide any support of any kind to such a user accessing the Ripple protocol. So yeah, maintenance registration, XRP2 will continue to maintain MSB registrations with FinCEN. XRP2 and Ripple Trade MSB will implement and maintain, or will continue to maintain, an effective anti-money laundering program. Ripple Trade MSB will maintain or continue to maintain an anti-money laundering compliance officer to ensure day-to-day compliance with their obligations under the Bank Secrecy Act and its implementing regulations. Within 45 days after the date of this agreement, in terms of under training program here, the MSB will create an AML training program for Bank Secrecy Act compliance and will provide a copy of the training program to the U.S. Attorney's Office and FinCEN. External audit within 60 days, Ripple Trade MSB will secure and retain independent external and qualified party or entity, third-party reviewer, not subject to any conflict of interest and subject to FinCEN's and USA Attorney's Office determination of non-objection, to examine their Bank Secrecy Act compliance programs and evaluate whether the programs are reasonably designed. Enhancements to Ripple protocol. Within 60 days, Ripple Labs, XRP2, and the Ripple Trade MSB will improve and, upon request, provide any information requested by FinCEN or the U.S. Attorney's Office as to use in the improvement of existing analytical tools applicable to the Ripple protocol, including reporting regarding any counterparty using the Ripple protocol, reporting as to the flow of funds within the Ripple protocol, and reporting regarding the degree of separation. Within 180 days of this date, the Ripple Labs XRP2 will conduct a review of all prior transactions and attempted transactions to which Ripple Labs or XRP2 was a party or served as an exchanger. Ripple Labs will institute AML programmatic transaction monitoring across the entire protocol, and will report the results of such monitoring to the U.S. Attorney's Office, FinCEN, and any other law enforcement or regulatory agency. Funds travel rule and funds transfer rule. The MSB will ensure or continue to ensure that all transactions made using XRP2, Ripple Trade, or Ripple Wallet will or will continue to be in compliance with the funds transfer rule and the funds travel rule. And then here you go. Ripple has been engaged in discussions through counsel with the U.S. Attorney's Office, a component of the U.S. Department of Justice, in connection with a criminal investigation being conducted by the U.S. Attorney's Office, Internal Revenue Service criminal investigation. The Ripple Board of Directors has determined that it is in the best interest of Ripple to enter into a settlement agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office and will resolve the investigation. Resolved that the Ripple Board of Directors consents to the resolution of discussions with the U.S. Attorney's Office by entering into the settlement agreement and attachments thereto. The Ripple Board of Directors authorizes Norman Reed, Ripple's general counsel, and outside counsel representing Ripple from Goodwin Procter, to execute the agreement on behalf of Ripple and for them and for other appropriate officers of Ripple to take any and all other actions as may be necessary. And so you have Norman Reed signing it, Ripple's general counsel right there. Lots of history with the SEC and himself. But here you go, guys. Just a little slap on the wrist from FinCEN, and since then, making a little bit of a rhyme there. Look at here, Money Services Businesses Association. And you have Ripple as, I don't think it's their newest member. I think this is probably something that's been released probably quite a long time ago. But Ripple is the only enterprise blockchain company today with products in commercial use. Ripple's global payments network includes over 200 customers across 40 plus countries and 6 continents. They are working with regulators, governments, and central banks, not against them, to improve the way the world moves money, while all the financial institutions on their network enjoy faster, lower cost global payments. Those who use the digital asset XRP to source liquidity can do so in seconds. XRP is quicker, less costly, and more scalable than any other digital asset. So Ripple has been a money service provider for or money service business for some time, you guys. And you can see here they have been compliant since this slap on the wrist of $700,000 coming from FinCEN. Through that agreement, they have been working with regulators. They have been working with the government, being completely transparent with their actions. You know, definitely classifying XRP as a separate entity from Ripple, thus making it not a security and making it a virtual currency, you guys, a currency. So here are some other articles that, basically go over the same information that we had just read. One of the things that I found in this one that I thought was interesting, here we go, in terms of the travel rule, both actions were accompanied by an agreement by Ripple and XRP2 to engage in remedial steps to ensure future compliance with AML and CFT obligation, as well as enhance remedial measures. Also, just want to bring up the thought, so when Christopher Giancarlo, Crypto Dad, talks about XRP not being a security, you guys, I think the guy knows what he's freaking talking about. Who are we to say we know better than someone who was the former CFTC chairman? You think especially he would be working with a company that works with Ripple and counseling Ripple? You think he would risk his reputation as that former CFTC chairman by declaring that XRP is not security? By basically lying? I don't think so. Among these steps are agreements to only transact XRP and Ripple trade activity through a registered MSB, which is Ripple, to implement and maintain an effective AML program to comply with the funds transfer and funds travel rules, to conduct a 3-year look back, to require suspicious activity reporting for prior suspicious transactions, and a requirement for the companies to retain external independent auditors to review their compliance with the BSA every 2 years up to and including the year we're in right now, guys, 2020. Looking forward to seeing what is going to happen in 2021 when this expires. What's going to be happening 2021 and beyond. Pursuant to the agreement, Ripple Labs will also undertake certain enhancements to the Ripple protocol to appropriately monitor all future transactions. By these agreements, we demonstrate again that we will remain vigilant to ensure the security of and prevent the misuse of financial markets. Ripple Labs and its wholly owned subsidiary both have acknowledged that digital currency providers have an obligation not only to refrain from illegal activities, but also to ensure they are not profiting by creating products that allow would-be criminals to avoid detection. We hope that this is an industry standard. We hope that this sets an industry standard in the important new space of digital currency. Okay, and I think that's all I wanted to read from there, from that part. So then, it leads me to this article, you guys. I'm going to take a little bit of a breather, but give me a second. All right, so catching up on the weather. Appreciate the support, you guys. Thanks for the 32 likes. I am not feeling any aftershocks right now, XRPDT, not from where I'm at, but I have been hearing about some shakes that have been going on. I just haven't been feeling them, my man. We had a drug dealer in London about a month ago with over 2 million in BTC that he was using to get around having too much money. Yet Ripple have to deal with this. I know, I feel you, Gerard Knight. Thanks for joining in. Good audio, G. Thank you so much, my man. Thanks for the 33 likes, you guys. All right, so let's get into this part. So what led me from that document to here, released in June 18th, 2018, the US SEC has decided Bitcoin and Ethereum will not be regulated as securities, but the debate continues to rage over Ripple, the third largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. Some argue US FinCEN has already set a precedent for Ripple's definition, which will mean the SEC must eventually follow suit. June has seen the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission make clear that Bitcoin. Sorry, no. Oh, okay, okay. That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. No, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Appreciate you. Oh man, you have some people who just can't stay out of the room. All right. Good times. Um, June has seen the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission make clear that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities and will not be regulated as such. Ripple XRP's classification, however, is still up for debate, or is it? Some believing a ruling by the U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network FinCEN in 2015 sets a definition for the native coin of the Ripple network XRP within the U.S. federal government that cannot be superseded by the SEC, as Twitter user Richard Holland, code Tsunami, notes. FinCEN already signed an agreement with Ripple Inc., allowing them to continue their XRP sales. If XRP is an unlicensed security, then FinCEN now has to explain why they signed an agreement allowing the sale of said unlicensed securities. Never going to happen. XRP isn't a security. Why did I say with an S? Security. There we go. This man, Richard Holland, he has several other quotes in this article that we will go over, but many are in the same type of quality as this paragraph right here. And it just makes sense, you guys. Why would FinCEN allow this company to be continuing to make sales of unlicensed securities, right? So it only makes sense that the SEC would see it in the same way and not see it as a security either. In 2015 civil enforcement by FinCEN, Ripple Labs was accused of violating the Bank Secrecy Act by acting as a money services businesses and selling XRP without registering with FinCEN. It also failed to implement and maintain an adequate anti-money laundering program. A settlement agreement ensued, criminal charges were resolved, and Ripple was fined $450,000. You guys are laughing up in the chat. 33 likes. Thanks, guys, so much. G laying the law. Yeah, I had to be FinCEN there for a second. I was just like, get out. Stiff-armed him. In a 2015 civil enforcement by FinCEN, Ripple Labs was accused of violating the Bank Secrecy Act by acting as a money services businesses, selling XRP without registering with FinCEN. It also failed to implement and maintain an adequate anti-money laundering program. A settlement agreement ensued, criminal charges were resolved, and Ripple was fined $450,000 USD. Critically to the debate, the trading of XRP was permitted through a registered MSB to implement and maintain an effective AML program to comply with the funds transfer and fund travels rules. We already checked this paragraph out, so I'm just going to skip to the next one. Ripple Labs was also asked to make enhancements to the Ripple protocol to monitor future transactions, to create an industry standard in the digital asset space. Holland goes on to share part of the introduction and background from FinCEN ruling he believes is the most critical point. There are agreed facts of the settlement where FinCEN agrees with prejudice that XRP is a currency and therefore not a security. The debate is over. This debate is over. So let me just check this out really quick. Let me put it up here really quick, see if it's something worth looking at. It's still loading, so we'll just keep moving on. Oh, it's actually gone. The tweet has been removed. So that's the record of the tweet right here. Though not an expert on US law and relatively unknown in the Twitter sphere, Holland is an entrepreneur and the creator of an open source XRP wallet. They have already bound the US Fed government into a position where XRP is a currency according to the agreed facts of the settlement, a currency and a security. Subject matter jurisdiction of the agency doesn't affect its ability to bind the whole government. Not everyone in the cryptocurrency community agrees that FinCEN has set the bar for XRP, but the argument is certainly fueling the debate, and no one can deny that precedent is an important factor in law and regulation. Proponents of Ripple argue that XRP does not security, and here you go with the definition of security. Ripple Labs has worked hard to portray XRP as a digital currency, virtual currency, rather than a security. Brad Garlinghouse tells CNBC whether or not XRP is a security shall not be dictated by one lawsuit. The SEC is the governor of that. I think it is very clear that XRP is not a security. It exists independently of Ripple the company. If Ripple the company shut down tomorrow, XRP will continue to exist. Corey Johnson, Ripple's chief marketing strategist, declared Ripple absolutely not a security, and that Ripple does not meet the standards of what a security is based on the history of court law. XRP, of course. So then here's another little article here talking about the Department of Justice settles virtual currency enforcement. Did not want to delete that. Oh no, that was the one of Ripple being a new MSB. So I've shown you guys that one already. Then we have DFS grants in 2016, mind you guys. So after this agreement was signed, with FinCEN, you have this DFS grants virtual currency license in 2016. 4 virtual currency firms have now received approval by DFS to operate in New York. Maria T. Vullo, acting superintendent of financial services, today announced that the New York State Department of Financial Services has approved the application of XRP2 LLC, an affiliate of Ripple Labs Inc., for a virtual currency license, you guys. Are you guys liking this info that I'm showing you here? Because I think it's pretty like definite. Like your understanding of XRP, whether it's a security or not, I think it should be almost probably definite that it's not a security, right? Of course, we need to hear what the SEC is going to declare, but it just doesn't make sense that FinCEN would give Ripple this slap on the wrist and then sign an agreement with them where Ripple is going to be fully compliant as a registered MSB, and acknowledging the fact that XRP is a virtual currency that is separate from Ripple. I think that argument should be over whether XRP is a security or not. Of course, we have to wait for the SEC, but I think it's very obvious, guys, and it's staring us right in the face. And tell me about another blockchain company or cryptocurrency company that has gotten this far. And remember, this happened in 2015 and 2016 when they got their virtual currency license. So it's been about a handful of years since then. How about some of the ghosts during intermission? Yeah, I hear you, my man. Yeah, let's play some XRP bags. Is that cool, XRP bags? So let me just finish this. XRP2 applied to DFS for a license to engage in virtual currency business activities in August. DFS conducted a rigorous review of that application, including but not limited to the company's anti-money laundering capitalization, consumer protection, and cybersecurity standards as a limited liability company with a virtual currency license under the financial services law. XRP2 can begin operating immediately and is subject to ongoing supervision by DFS. Earning the BIT license is an incredible validation of the institutional use of global asset or digital assets by DFS, one of the most influential state regulators, said Ripple co-founder and CEO Chris Larsen. With the BIT license in hand, we look forward to working with our New York bank customers seeking to use XRP, guys. Seeking to use XRP for liquidity and cost savings. You got the DFS acknowledging that it's a virtual currency. You have FinCEN, the IRS as well. The U.S. Department of Justice, guys, acknowledging that XRP is a virtual currency and it is different from Ripple. SEC will soon follow suit. Okay, went over the DFS grants. Here's another article about the DFS grant, posted by the Department of Financial Services, mind you, on their website. We already talked about Norman Reed and General Counsel at Ripple Labs. And then, guys, right here, in that same year, before getting slapped in the wrist, Ripple released on Ripple Insights in 2015 the Fed's strategy for improving the U.S. payment system. The Federal Reserve Bank has released its highly anticipated strategy report for improving the U.S. payment system. So guys, I'm going to drop the link here to this Ripple Insights article. But I'm just going to go to some of the highlighted parts. In the case of Ripple, the solution fits within the components defined by the Fed that compose a payment system, technology, rules, risk management, and the messaging standard. An efficient, inexpensive, rule-set agnostic solution, Ripple provides the technological layer allowing the Fed and other industry members can play to their strengths and provide complementary components such as rule sets. Ripple Labs designed the Ripple protocol as such because we believe that local jurisdictions are best suited to define their own standards in connecting fragmented payment networks given the complexity of financial regulation. By applying jurisdiction-specific rule sets on top of a common technical infrastructure like Ripple, the various national payment systems around the world would benefit from increased interoperability and a significant improvement in the speed and cost of cross-border payments. Ripple has the potential to achieve many of the desired outcomes outlined by the Fed, along with addressing many of the existing weaknesses highlighted. And guys, this was posted in 2015. In general, we applaud the Fed's ongoing initiative to provide safe, efficient, and broadly accessible payment network, or a safe, efficient, and broadly accessible payment network, one payment network. Their active and inclusive approach provides us further confidence in the work we're doing at Ripple Labs. So then we take a look at this PDF. I'm going to be loading up another page while I'm at it. Here we go. Okay, so back to it here. Hope you guys are doing well. Oh, what the fuck, lost you, G. Oh no. Am I back? Oh, crap. Come on. Alright, well, hopefully I'm back. Okay, we back. Okay, where did you guys lose me? If you guys can just refresh me for a second. Sorry about that, you guys. Sometimes the connection goes in and out. Kicked me out, but had to go back in. Gerard Knight, apologize. Maybe YouTube is sensing something. Maybe YouTube's like, holy crap, he's hitting in on something. I pulled an XRP bags on you guys. I went ghost, like Lady Enigma is saying. Alright, so if we're back, let me just retrace the steps a little bit here. You guys said you guys lost me for a minute. So let me know if you guys have already heard this. Ripple Labs designed the Ripple protocol as such because we believe that local jurisdictions are best suited to define their own standards in connecting fragmented payment networks given the complexity of financial regulation. As we've outlined in the past, Ripple has the potential to achieve many of the desired outcomes outlined by the Fed, along with addressing many of the existing weaknesses highlighted. And guys, like I said, this article was written in 2015. We applaud the Fed's ongoing initiative to provide a safe, efficient, and broadly accessible payment network. Not payment networks, a payment network. Their active and inclusive approach provides us further confidence in the work we are doing at Ripple Labs. Ah, okay, what's going on? Okay, we're good. Are we good? Just let me know if we're good, you guys. I hope you guys aren't getting kicked in and out. Um, I'm just gonna continue going on with the video. Hopefully, you keep cutting off. That sucks. I really hate that. I think I think we might have to do a part two, you guys. We'll probably have to do a part two. Maybe YouTube is just trying to censor me from something. Who knows? Who knows? But we will go into this. How about that? We'll do a part two. We did go into about an hour and 15 minutes, you guys. We will do a part two, and hopefully the YouTube censors don't drop down too hard on us. But basically, what I wanted to overview here was give you an idea of what the Fed strategy here was for, a global payment system, right? So you have the Federal Reserve System for improving the US payment system. And then right here, you guys, you already see this posted in 2015. ISO 20022 Business Case Assessment. And remember, guys, Ripple is now part of the ISO 20022 standards body, the first member focused on distributed ledger technology, DLT. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into this stream. Appreciate your guys' support. I hope this video comes out clearly when it's released. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Guys, XRP is not a security. Feel comfortable, or, I do at least. This is not financial advice. This is just education. But anyways, thank you. BTC community, XRP community, Ethereum community, Theta community, Algo community, BAC community, TRX community, all the communities out there. Much love to you guys. Thank you guys so much for the support today. Thank you for the 35 likes. Thanks for the continuous support on this channel. Look forward to more content in the future. And, thank you guys just so much for the support. Much appreciated. I do these streams to talk with the community and to just, show you guys what I'm coming across and what I'm thinking about in terms of the digital asset space and the cryptocurrency space. But alrighty, guys, that is the end of this stream. And remember, guys, I never tell you guys what to do. I just tell you what's up, and what's up is Poet getting 12.73%, and Link, and Theta, and Engine, and Algo. That's what's up in this crypto space. Much love to you guys. Thank you guys so much for the support once again. Can't say it enough. I'll keep saying that. Much love. Take it easy. Adios.